So today's question comes in from Karen. Karen asks, now that Western dressage is becoming more established as a discipline, what should I be thinking about that's different if I ride a Western test versus a traditional dressage test when I go to a dressage show? So she'd be going to a schooling show. And she's also asking, is there a benefit to my horse if I do this? So one of the things I want to think about here, again, getting back to her question with this, what's different about a Western dressage test versus a traditional or classical dressage test? I think that's going to take us back to the idea of what is dressage by your definition. A good friend of mine, Mark Russell, I think had the best way of saying it. Dressage is to suit the horse. The horse is not to suit dressage. So when I think about dressage and Western dressage, the only thing that should be different is the tack. We think about dressage and training our horse in dressage as a discipline, basically to help him develop to his maximum capabilities. Thinking back to the origins of Western dressage and how it got started as a discipline, basically it was started because the typical Western type horses basically don't move the same. There's things like suspension that are not natural or not as common in the typical stock horse type horses as they are in the larger warm bloods. So the difference between dressage, traditional dressage, and Western dressage really is the tack. If you decide to ride a stock type horse, a quarter horse, something like that, in a dressage show, in a dressage test, in traditional dressage tack, you're not going to ride your test any different than you would if that horse was under Western tack. It's about riding that particular horse to its maximum potential. Right? That's how I want to think about that. It's about riding that horse to its maximum potential. So I don't care if it's Western dressage, if it's traditional dressage, if it's gaited dressage, if it's, you name it, side saddle dressage, Australian dressage, barrel horse dressage, you know, we can call it whatever we want to call it. It's about riding and developing that horse to his or her personal maximum potential. And that's regardless of the tack. Now, there are some riders and trainers that are out there that might tell you, as we've seen it happen at some shows, that a Western horse should be going slower or shouldn't be moving out like a traditional dressage horse might look. That's baloney. When we're talking about riding the horse to the maximum of their potential, we're talking about using the joints effectively, using the muscles correctly, things like that. So those horses need to move the way horses move. It's not about any artificial changing of the gaits or of the body. So Karen, when we're asking about riding our horse at a dressage show, we would not change how we would ride that horse in a Western test versus in a traditional classical dressage test because we're riding to his maximum potential, whatever that happens to be. So you've also asked the question, is there a benefit to my horse if I do this? Now I know you're leaning toward the classical dressage riding, so I'm assuming you're asking, is there a benefit to riding my horse Western dressage? Where would the benefit come in? I would say which saddle fits better, which saddle does your horse move most comfortably underneath? That's probably the one that's going to be better for him, whichever saddle that happens to be. So, all right, gang, I hope that was helpful. In the comments below this video, don't forget to submit your questions for our daily videos or almost daily videos. I've got a question for you. Question of the day. Why do you compete with your horses? Or maybe you don't. So the question of the day for you, why do you not compete with your horses? Give us the answers in the comments below. Don't forget, you keep submitting your questions. I'll keep giving you answers in videos. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. I really appreciate it.